What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. The road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams this summer is now taking us to Champaign, Illinois, where the Illinois Fighting Illini feels like a program that is just waiting to explode. And 2025 could be the year where they are the surprise out of the Big Ten Conference. My name is Nate Bope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate, and thank you so much for clicking on this video and for helping to support the channel. Well, if you would like to support the channel even further, please be my guest. Do what it says right below me. Hit that subscribe button, and hey, well, you might as well ring the bell while you're down there, because turning on notifications ensures that you aren't going to miss an upload, especially not one of your favorite team during prediction season. I'm a sports media grad delving into the professional world of sports media, and if you want to see all the cool stuff I do in the industry while still getting updates what goes on here on YouTube, then please follow the tag down below on Twitter or X, whatever your preference to call it, and Instagram. It's at TailgateNate29. You can even email me, tailgatenate29@gmail.com. I want to thank you all so much for supporting me in the channel in any way that you do, by interacting with it in any way that you do, as well as myself. But without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off this prediction video talking about the Illinois Fighting Illini, led by their head coach, Bret Bielema, who has been up and down so far, but after a big season last year, the Illini are poised for a massive campaign here in 2025. Indiana was the surprise of the Big Ten last season. Illinois kind of feels like the team that's going to do that this year, although Indiana came out of nowhere. Illinois had a pretty darn good season last year. They were 9-3. They got to the Cheez-It Bowl. We'll see if they can make a college football playoff run in 2025. But how do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we're going to go through a roster overview. The offense going to be over here. The defense going to be over here. Then we'll look at the Illini football schedule, and I'll tell you what I think about the Fighting Illini this season as we go through and game by game preview their schedule. Before we start, though, some numbers right below me I want you to be aware of. Returning production numbers are according to ESPN, and they do include transfer portal additions up to a certain percentage. Recruiting and transfer portal class of 2025 ranks are according to 24/7 Sports. They are right below that. Returning production number, 75% for the Illini. That, I believe, is a top 5 mark in the country. I want to say number 4, but I'm not confident in that. I very much at least know they are top 5 in returning production across the 136 teams here that I will be previewing on the channel and that are in the FBS level of college football. That's pretty good, and let's start by talking about some of that returning production with your offensive coordinator, Barry Lunny, because Luke Altmyer, almost said Max for a second, not correct. Luke Altmyer exceeded expectations in 2024, and he can exceed them again in 2025. 2,717 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions on around 61% completion percentage. Yeah, it can get a lot better than that for Luke Altmyer this season, who also had 4 rushing touchdowns. He's shown the ability with the legs to stretch a play outside of the pocket, throw on the run, and even take off if he has to. This Illinois team, I think, has got a really good quarterback in Luke Altmyer that took him a figure it out, right? 2023 was just not a good year, and a lot of people were asking questions about Luke Altmyer. Now, knowing what we know about him from the 2024 season, I think you got yourselves a baller here, and they don't need Luke Altmyer to be a world beater because of the way that this defense plays. Do I think he can throw for 3,000 yards? Yeah, I think it's a pretty darn good possibility. They don't necessarily need that from him, although it would be very, very nice to have, and Luke Altmyer can exceed the apron or push the apron and just be better than expected yet again here in 2025. Leading rusher Josh McCray is now going on over to the SEC. He is with the Georgia Bulldogs, 609 yards and 10 touchdowns last season on 5.2 yards per carry. However, not too far behind him in terms of yards, with only 20 less carries, 589 yards and 4 touchdowns on 6.1 yards per carry for Aiden Laffery. He is expected to be that #1 running back for you in 2025. He's going to be backed up by Caden Fegan, as well as some other pretty darn solid players as well. Now, I did list here that they should have some better production. I think Laffery is going to exceed that 609-yard mark set as the leading rusher by McCray last season. If you want a number in the ballpark, I would say probably at least 650, which I didn't lie to you, is still more than 609, but I don't even think 700, 750, 800 is out of the question for Aiden Laffery this season. I think he's a really, really good player, and I think should see a better season than what Josh McCray had last year, even though McCray now with Georgia. I think Laffery, as that lead back, going to have a pretty big season for you in 2024 and has a lot of good pieces behind him, including, again, the likes of Caden Fegan. Your top two receivers move to now playing on Sundays. That's going to be the likes of Pat Bryant, 984 yards and 10 touchdowns, massive target, massive loss, and then Zachary Franklin, the former UTSA Roadrunner who lit it up there, didn't quite do that at Illinois, but was still very, very effective. 652 yards and 4 touchdowns and a team-high 55 catches. No one returning to this wide receiver room has more than 20 catches of production from last season. However, Hudson Clement and Justin Bowick are going to be transferring on into the room. Hudson Clement, the bigger one of that from West Virginia, they got a really good transfer here out of the former Mountaineer. 741 yards on 51 catches and 5 touchdowns last season, and he had around 22 yards per catch in the 2023 season, while not necessarily posting as high of numbers, but a lot more efficient numbers, able to do a lot. So he can absolutely be a downfield threat for you. Was in 2023, not so much in 2024, playing a little bit more to his strengths, but he, I think, is going to end up leading this wide receiver room this year. Justin Bowick is another pretty solid transfer that's going to be entering this room, and there still is some good talent surrounding Malik Elzy, Colin Dixon, Hank Beatty, Alexander Kapka-Jones. I do think this is a pretty solid wide receiver room, but it will be led, I believe, by the two transfers that'll be, I should say, that you see listed right over here on your screen. Now, as far as the tight end room goes, you get some consistency here. Tanner Arkin and Cole Rusk acted as a little bit of a tight end duo last season. Arkin, however, according to ourlads.com, that lead tight end, followed by Cole Rusk, but both of them redshirt seniors. They've seen a lot of football, and they'll see pretty big roles for the Illini offense there in 2025. Arkin, 111 yards, 3 touchdowns last season. Now, the likes of Cole Rusk did not catch a pass last season, but I think is still going to play a very big role here in this offense as that second tight end. Again, the tight ends do not get a ton of production in this offense, but they could here in 2025. That's because they're pretty darn talented. And this is the icing on the cake for the Illinois offense. You hit on a lot of portal pieces. I think are going to be really good. I think what you had secondarily is going to be really good for you in a primary role this season. All 5 starting offensive linemen are returning, with transfers only adding to the depth that Illinois already possesses in that room. I think it's going to be a really good offensive line. You got a pretty darn good quarterback in Luke Altmaier, some good skill position rooms. It's an Illini offense that is not going to beat you in every way, shape, or form, but it is going to be a really solid offense, and I think one that can give a lot of teams some trouble here in 2025, especially ones with defenses that are looking to improve what they did from last season. Aaron Henry is your defensive coordinator as now we move on over to talking about this defense. The defense should see massive improvement. It was not the best campaign in 2024, but we all know it all starts with physicality and defense when Bret Bielema is at the helm, and I think Aaron Henry, a pretty solid defensive coordinator as well. And its best year yet under Henry and Bielema combined. I think 2025 is poised for a massive season for the Illini, especially from a defensive standpoint. Now, the D-line is going to be losing some pretty darn good pieces. However, your sack leader in Gabe Jackas will be joining a new room that's sort of full of transfers. Again, you're going to be losing a couple of really darn important pieces from last season. Seth Coleman was a dog off the edge, 3 sacks for him. He is now going to be off and gone to the likes of, I believe, the Seattle Seahawks. I'll fact check that here in a minute. Dennis Briggs, the defensive lineman from last season, more so on the interior, 3.5 sacks for him last season. His eligibility has been exhausted. Tara Edwards is now over with the Los Angeles Chargers, and Coleman, yes, is with the Seattle Seahawks. But Gabe Jackas, again, that sack leader, 8 sacks for him last season. A lot of transfers in this defensive line room that are going to play really big minutes. James Thompson Jr. transfers in. He was a really, really vital vital piece when he was over at, or I should say, more of a depth piece at Wisconsin. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead a little bit, but should be a primary piece for the Illini here. Kurt Neal also coming over from Wisconsin, and then Tomiwa Durojaye was over at Florida State, then West Virginia, then Kentucky. He had some solid production in all three of those places, and now is here with the Fighting Illini, where he could be a leader among the defensive linemen. Linebacker room loses a lot of solid pieces. And that's solid with an S, by the way, not just solid. Again, some solid pieces are going to be leaving this room. However, your leading tackler out of the linebacker room last year was a guy by the name of Dylan Rosiek. He is going to be coming back, was on the Buck Kiss Award watch list last year, should be again this upcoming season as one of the top linebackers in the Big Ten. 60 tackles, a sack and a half, one pass defended. I think he could even get an interception this upcoming season. Did force 2 fumbles. Hey, keep that up. I think his production is going to increase, and you're going to see what a true talent he is. Also, James Krutz is going to come back to lead the troop of linebackers this year. Krutz, apologies for mispronunciations. He had 54 tackles, 26 of them by himself last season. Those are your 2 leading tacklers out of the linebacker room. They both come back to lead a unit with some pretty solid depth. All secondary members with at least 20 tackles are going to be coming back. A lot of familiar pieces look like this: Torrey Cox, Matthew Bailey, Miles Scott, Caleb Patterson, Xavier Scott, and even some more depth pieces: Jaheim Clark, Tyson Rooks, so much more. A massive, massive thing for this Illini defense to return. Again, all big secondary pieces, and it's going to make for one of the Big Ten's most dangerous defensive backfields. I think they're going to be ball hawks. I think they're going to force a whole lot of turnovers, and I think the Illini could have a very, very scary secondary here entering 2025. David Olano is going to return as kicker, but a new punter transfers in, is going to battle for that starting job, with the primary, or I should say transfers coming in, are going to battle it out for that punting duo. It's Keelan Crimmins and Lucas Osada. Osada also can place kick there as well. Hey, we got to give some love to the special teams. They are people too, kickers. I got to buy that shirt, by the way. Not that I am a kicker. I just think it's very true. This is an Illini team, again, I've said many times, and I'll say it once more, probably once more at the end of the video as well, poised for a massive season. Luke Altmaier can take another step in the right direction. Plenty of talent surrounding him. I think they hit it out of the park with the very few portal pieces that they did bring in, especially Hudson Clement in that wide receiver room. And then defensively, yeah, you lose some good solid depth, but a lot of your main key guys are coming back, especially in that secondary. I think it's all going to lead to a very successful season. How successful? Well, let's take a look at the schedule. Well, no further questions, because here is the 2025 Illini football schedule. And before we dive on into all of this, do want you all to take a look at some numbers right down below my face, as well as the Illini logo. The odds are courtesy of FanDuel. No, not me telling you where to go place your money. Obviously, you do what you want with your money. It's just some good context to sort of give a good idea of how good the odds makers think Illinois is going to be this season. Plus 3,300 odds to win the conference. That might seem like a pretty steep number. I mean, it is, but they are 6th in the Big Ten Conference. They are in the top third. Illini is supposed to be one of the top contenders in the Big Ten this year, according to odds makers. Plus 16,000 odds to win the national championship. Yeah, there's got to be some stuff that goes right. But overall, for the Illini, you're looking at a pretty darn solid season with that 8.5 win total. However, do they exceed that? Do they fall below it? Yeah, let's find out right now. I think you know where I'm going the way I've been talking about this team all video long. First game up against Western Illinois. Yeah, you should be able to win that one there. I don't think Western Illinois just has any sort of pieces that can give the Fighting Illini trouble. But then you enter this game against the Duke Blue Devils. Very important game for both of these teams right out of the gate, and the loser could fall below expectations this season. Not a total guarantee, but you lose an early one of this caliber, especially if it's, the Fighting Illini on the road. You got some interesting Big Ten games to prepare for this season. I do think the Fighting Illini will win this one, and I think it's because the defense takes a nice step forward this year, and it's going to be able to defend what Duke's able to throw at them. But Duke has a lot of interesting pieces. Darian Mensah is in at quarterback. Andrew Anthony comes in as a transfer wide receiver. Jacques Moore will be coming back at running back for you. Lot of really good defensive pieces for a Manny Diaz-led team that had a good season last year, guys. They were 9-3. Duke is not going to be a pushover by any sort, but I really think Luke Altmaier is going to have moments where he puts the team on his back this year. Not saying this is absolutely one of those games, but it very well could be a game where Luke Altmaier has a very good performance, and it's a performance where this defense is going to need to step up, and I think they do. So the Illini win that one against the Duke Blue Devils, and then they should win that Week 3 game against Western Michigan as well. You start off the season 3-0, and then you enter Big Ten play in Week 4 on September 20th against the Indiana Hoosiers. This one is going to be a problem area for Illinois, I do fear, because Indiana, they were the surprise of the conference last season, and Indiana, I think, is in some pretty solid position to be able to repeat what they did last season. No more Curtis Rourke, but you are getting another transfer quarterback in which I think you're going to hit it out of the park with in Fernando Mendoza, a guy that I like a ton, and I think his full experience and full talent will be unleashed with Curt Cignetti as head coach. You also have E.J. Williams, Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, especially Surratt. All those guys coming back in the wide receiver room are huge for this program. And even though you lose a lot of depth pieces, you're going to get them back through the portal, and a lot of your heavy hitters on defense return. Indiana football had a stellar season last year. The schedule does get harder, but folks, the Hoosier football program is here to stay, I think, for as long as Curt Cignetti is that head coach. I do think Indiana here, going on the road and playing the Hoosiers, I do believe that the win in Bloomington will go to Indiana, and it gives Illinois their first loss of 2025. Now, you move on to this game against USC, and this one is going to be an absolutely fascinating contest. No more Miller Moss. He's in the portal. He's gone to Louisville. Jaden Maeva is that quarterback for you, and Lincoln Riley is the quarterback whisperer. So, who knows? Jaden Maeva could absolutely explode. He was a solid quarterback during his time at UNLV, absolutely. We'll see if he can explode here for the Trojans in 2025. In a put up or shut up year for Lincoln Riley. This is a massively important season for the USC Trojans. They have got to get it right this season. I don't think it's going to happen against the Illinois Fighting Illini. I just think a little bit too much what the Illini are going to be able to throw at you, especially USC. Again, there's the toughness, the physicality question with this team, and I do believe that, well, Illinois is physical. They're going to be tough, especially defensively. I think USC has a little bit of trouble controlling Gabe Jackas and some of the other pieces that portal in on this defensive line, and Illinois is going to be able to beat a USC team that, again, is in do or die mode this season, especially their head coach in Lincoln Riley. Purdue has got a solid head coach in Barry Odom coming over, but that program is not in a great spot. It's going to take a while for him to build Purdue back up into a potential Big Ten contender. I do have Illinois going on the road and beating the Boilermakers to earn win number 5 on the season. And then they have, I think, a massive shot to do something huge here at home against the big bad Ohio State Buckeyes. The national champs from last year are replacing a ton of production from a season ago. Will Howard is gone. The running back duo of Judkins and Henderson, yep, both of them are gone. Your most experienced piece in the wide receiver room, in Emeka Egbuka, gone. You are replacing so much talent. However, you still have the 2 best players both offensively and defensively here with this program. You have Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver, and then you have Caleb Downs, the safety. Not to mention a lot of the pieces that Ohio State is going to try to get up to fill in these gaps. I think are, again, really darn solid players. You get C.J. Donaldson coming over there. Defensive line, a big question mark. Offensive line, a big question mark. I think the physicality of Illinois here could take it to Ohio State a little bit, especially if that offensive line is going to struggle throughout this season at times as much as it did last year. But I think Jeremiah Smith is going to overpower this Illini secondary. I think Caleb Downs is one of the best players in the entire country, and I think he can help lead this secondary that still has got a lot of very talented pieces to shut down what Illinois has got going in the wide receiver room. Make no mistake, Illinois has a tremendous chance to pull off this upset and to set a program-defining win under Bret Bielema. Bielema did it before while he was over at Wisconsin. When Ohio State was ranked number 1 in 2010, he was able to get it done there on home turf. Very similar situation could happen here. I just think the Illini end up falling short. A battle against Ohio State, but Illinois, again, really good football team. Two really good football teams duking it out. I think the Illini fall just short. On the road at Washington should be a very interesting one. Washington expected to take a step forward this year with Demon Williams coming back at quarterback for you this season. Jonah Coleman back at running back. You have some really good pieces in the wide receiver room. Defense bulks up through the transfer portal. Washington should still be a pretty solid unit, but I don't think they get past the Illini. That's a win for me for Illinois. Rutgers, a lot of good returning production. Rutgers, I think, still going to be a solid team this year. Again, not enough to keep up with Illinois, and Illinois is also going to be beating the Maryland Terrapins, as Maryland losing a lot through the portal, and I don't really expect much out of the Terps this season. Going back to that Rutgers game, however, again, Rutgers has got a lot of pieces returning. They have a lot coming back to this team. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, though, he's got to take that next step forward. He has got to be able to, again, he's never really been a solid quarterback, even during his time at Minnesota. He's got to be able to take that next step forward if Rutgers wants to take that next step forward as a program. Still really solid team last year. You get DT Sheffield in as a transfer wide receiver, CJ Campbell in as a transfer running back to replace Kyle Monungai, and the defense is going to have a ton of transfers there to be able to bulk things up. Again, I just don't think that they're going to be able to overpower Illinois, and the Illini win that game. Same thing with Maryland there. Again, I just don't expect much out of Maryland. Now, Wisconsin, a place that Bret Bielema has been before. This is another very, very interesting game on the Illinois schedule. Do they win this one? I think they do, but much like, honestly, really the Duke game, I think there is a real possibility for Illinois to lose this one on the road. Much like it's do or die time for USC and Lincoln Riley, do or die time for Luke Fickell in Madison. Now, Billy Edwards coming over from Maryland, maybe even NC State. I think, I'm sorry, Maryland and Wake Forest is where Billy Edwards has played before. He is going to be coming over here to Wisconsin after they just, didn't really get it figured out with Tanner Mordecai last season. Quarterback room rebuilt by transfers, but a ton of great pieces surrounding Cade Yakimelli at running back. You do have some pretty darn solid wide receiver pieces, including Jaden Ballard, who transfers in. Some pretty darn solid pieces on the defensive side, and we know the caliber of defense that Luke Fickell has fielded before, and the caliber of defense this Wisconsin program is known for. I think it's going to be a battle, and it could be an offensive slog, but Illinois, to me, has more offensive talent. They get through Wisconsin, and they get through Northwestern as well, leading me to a record of 10-2 for the Fighting Illini. You absolutely better believe it. This is going to be a team very similar to Indiana last year. Now, Indiana came out of nowhere, but no one expected them to do what they did. I think the Illini are in that same boat. People expect more out of Illinois than they did of Indiana last season. But I think the Illini are going to be up to the task this year. They got a chance to pull off some absolutely massive wins, and I think are real players in the college football playoff conversation. Let me know what you think about this team in the comment section down below. Hey, remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.